Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 4.5 Marks 3-man edition, which will be on for quite a while. I am your host, Chava the Hero. I have the Broman Empire, Roman, and then the half mark who still knows nothing, Luis, Banda, Ochoa, Miguel, Angel, everything else.
Yes.
Yep. I'll give out all your info on that. Anyways, as you see, new space, which is great. We're loving it. I'm loving it. I'm very excited and happy to be doing this. But we have a few differences of what we're doing. We're not gonna spiderweb like we were doing before. What we'll do is we're gonna kind of break down a rivalry. So I'm leading the charge right now. So I'm gonna do one of my favorite rivalries of Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa. So if you know, I kind of explained to you about beforehand. What do you remember me telling you from these two guys?
The biggest thing I remember is that they are both really good friends.
Correct.
Which kind of made the rivalry more real.
Correct, yes. So, as you're aware of, the Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa started off in NXT with the Cruiserweight Classic. So that's the first match we watched. So the Cruiserweight Classic was this big old tournament that they had to reestablish the Cruiserweights, which was a great tournament. We'll eventually do a whole thing on that. But for right now, we're just focusing on the final match of the first round, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa. So we have our scorecard. We've redid our scorecard, so we now have 4 categories. We're going to start off with the first one, competitors, what we thought about each competitor, how their entrance was, their ring attire, all that kind of fun stuff. So each category is ranked up to 25. I ranked them as 15. As they are really good here now, they weren't to that level back then. So Johnny Gargano, great technical wrestler. Tommaso Ciampa, brutal, absolutely brutal wrestler, physical striker. But they hadn't done anything in NXT. They were barely getting up and coming. So I ranked them 15. Roman, what'd you rank them?
I gave them a 20. I hadn't watched too much NXT prior to that, so I didn't really follow too much back then. Of course I know who they are now, but back then I thought it was still cool to kind of go back and see how it was back before they got as big as they are now. So.
Yeah, it's always a cool thing to see is how wrestlers started. Banda, you don't really know anything about these guys, so what about you? What do you think? This kind of your first time seeing any of them?
Well, for me, I gave them an 18.
Okay.
Actually, it is the first time that I've ever seen either one of them, but I really like Ciampa's spunkiness.
His spunkiness. Okay.
When he enters in the ring and then he just raises his finger up.
Yeah.
And then everybody just quiet.
Yeah. It's a good ranking. They're great wrestlers. We just didn't know to the level that they were at, or the level they could get at, which again, really exciting to see. So next one is work rate. How good the match was in terms of what's it called? I'm blanking here. In ring. Yes, thank you. How tight everything was. How great everything looked. And of course, finish of the matches, everything like that. I rated it 25 because both of you guys were really good. Both these guys did not miss anything. They didn't miss a step. They didn't do anything wrong in the match. It was all just really good work rate, all really good strikes. No what we call botches, where someone messed up, no one got lost in the match. So I ranked it 25. What'd you rank it?
I rank it at 21.
21?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I enjoyed the match overall. I felt like Ciampa had a very big advantage from the very beginning for basically most of the match, which I guess I was kind of expecting more equal footing for both of them.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that in a second, but what would you rank it?
I ranked it at 23 out of that 25. I thought the match itself was incredible. And there was really not any mistakes at all. No missteps, nothing like that. And they basically kept the whole thing going without any pauses, really.
Right.
So I thought it was really good in that sense.
Perfect. Well, so with that match, we'll get into it a little bit more with the other category, but I understand what you mean about equal ground, equal footing, but physically they're not equal footing. Tommaso Ciampa's a bigger guy, and later on he becomes a more muscular guy too. But that's for then and there.
For later.
Yeah,
That's for another time.
And we'll talk about a little bit more of why there wasn't an equal advantage on that. Next up is style. So each, as I mentioned at the beginning, Johnny Gargano, a great technical wrestler. Tommaso Ciampa, a great physical striker, physical hitter. The kind of what's the right word for it? I guess how well their styles wrestling blended together, and how they executed, showing that off to the fans and to everybody. I rank that at 20 because Tommaso Ciampa, we saw lots of physical hit, like we had the spit fly out from Johnny Gargano in the match, like pretty early on, just very, like, you could hear all those hits that Gargano was taking from Ciampa. But we didn't get to see a whole lot of the technical wrestling side of Johnny Gargano. So he's known as Johnny Wrestling for a reason. So it's, we didn't get to see Johnny wrestling. But overall, though, we did get to see the small guy style, which he is a small guy. So I ranked it at 20. I thought it looked good. What would you think?
I also ranked it at 20. I thought between the two of them that their styles blended really well. There was, like I said before, everything they did just seemed like very precise. Like I said, the striking from Ciampa, and then also the striking back from Gargano. So they both kind of were equals there.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but of course, Ciampa being the bigger guy, of course, had that advantage where he just had a little bit more power behind his strikes. But along the lines of that, yeah, I gave that a 20.
Okay. Yeah. So, excellent score. What would you rank it?
I rank it an 18. Just like with the previous category, basically for about the same reasons that kind of influenced it, where I saw more of Ciampa doing his thing. And, well, like you said, Gargano being the smaller guy, we didn't really see a lot from him.
Okay.
We saw enough, like, for the match to be fluid, but I guess I was waiting for more of just him.
More of Gargano.
Being in the spotlight.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Like, we did not get to see him in the spotlight.
Well, like you said, I did also hear he's Johnny Wrestling.
Yes, that's one of his monikers.
See that.
It's Johnny Wrestling. Eventually, you'll learn he becomes Johnny Takeover as well, which is a cool thing.
I mean, doesn't Ciampa taunt him in that match?
Kinda, a little bit.
If I was saying
yeah.
I don't know if he says he doesn't say Johnny Wrestling, but he takes over that phrase from him. No. I believe he does. Like almost at the very beginning.
I don't remember that specifically. He did, they had the whole promo beforehand, before they went out to the ring, and he said Ciampa said that we're friends, but I'm going to hurt you tonight, which leads into storytelling. Good segue there, Banda. So storytelling, just how the match came to be, how was the story of the match. There's wrestling has a psychology to it. There is reasons for why things are done. Unless you're watching like AAA and Lucha Fest, then there's not really a whole lot. But that's for a different video. But the storytelling aspect, as I was talking about, like they had the promo video, like they're friends. Ciampa was like in Johnny Gargano's wedding. They quickly became best friends, almost like brothers, and now they're facing off against each other. I ranked it at 25 max score because it has really good storytelling because of that. But also in ring, Ciampa said he's gonna hurt him, but at the end of the match, he can't hurt Johnny because he brings down the knee pad to hit one of his finishing moves, the running knee, but he can't bring himself to do it. And then Gargano hits the super kick instead.
Takes advantage of it.
Takes advantage of it, and then spots here and there, and Johnny gets to roll up and wins. And that was really good storytelling because like I said, Ciampa wanted to hurt him, but at the end he couldn't do that to his best friend. So I liked it. I liked how that came to be. And then, the spots that we did see of Johnny wrestling were cool because it's him taking over what he can do against his friend. So a lot about storytelling. So what did you think?
I scored it at 23, so almost 25 for me. Mm-hmm. I thought the storytelling wise it was really good. All the in-ring and out of ring stuff, basically the timing of everything, like how they would pick up the pace or they'd slow everything down, was really good on their end. Also, with a lot of the false finishes where it looked like either Johnny or Ciampa was going to win at either point, they'd have their big kickouts and everything along those lines. Really, really important in that whole story. So
good. Okay. And then would you rank it?
I rank it at 21.
Okay.
Not knowing their previous build-up for this, just the small segment that came out before the match itself, it still captured my interest. Because I'll admit I'm a sucker for that sort of thing where best friends and then they end up having a rivalry and fighting, which is basically what this was.
Yeah, that's exactly
what it was.
Yeah. And we'll see more of that as we watch more matches between them. I was not expecting us to be so short of it. We're not used to having a 3-man group, I guess.
Yeah, that's.
It might also be the fact that we have 4 different categories
instead of 7 like I had restructuring. But it's fine.
Now we can get an equal 100 though.
Yes, now we can get an equal 100 score. So total ranked on this match would be an 80 out of 100. I don't know how quick math you guys can do to see yours.
86.
Mine would be 78.
78. Okay, so pretty
pretty
different scores, but still pretty close together. Overall, I really enjoyed the match. I really enjoy me watching it from the get go and me not knowing what was gonna happen. This was a cool match. I was awesome. They got this one and done. I like seeing tag partners go against each other because you never know what comes out of it. Side thing we recently saw in the Owen Cup, Dax Hardwood and Cash Wheeler, who were FTR, and were the Revival in WWE. They went against each other in the Owen Cup, and it was one of the best matches that cup had, that tournament had. The Cruiserweight Classic had crazy matches, but this is one of my favorite matches. And then just to see what came out of it, the whole story that came out of it was insane. So next match that we're gonna do is the Revival that I just mentioned, and DIY, which is Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. That was their tag name, at NXT Brooklyn 2. It was the second time they went back to Brooklyn. And it's for the NXT tag titles, which I'm very excited for that match. It was a really good match, and we'll talk about that.